and loading. We're live
There we
with
go.
Julius Bachmann for another VC Wisdom Pod. Julius is the founder at Bachmann Catalyst. He's coaching for CEOs and executive teams. He's a dad. He's a writer. He's a musician in Berlin right now. So 9 p.m. at night. Cool background the guy has. We're gonna discuss about his musical careers, founder career, the parallels, in VC investing, and everything between today. BookWriteGPT.com is presenting this podcast. If you want to take your LinkedIn post and write a nice book that you can publish on Kindle with AI, you can go to BookWriteGPT.com. Julius, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and what you're up to.
Thanks for having me, Charles. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I am currently, so this is the mid of April. I'm currently working on a book project and pitching a book project to publishers. So very topical to talk about GPT and the role of GPT in writing books. Still kind of the old-fashioned way I write a book myself, but very much I understand the potential of artificial intelligence in creating a book. And over the last year, I have intensely researched the role of artificial intelligence in different kind of creative crafts. Is it music? Is it writing? Book writing? But my day job, so to say, is very much CEO coaching, CEOs and their teams, focusing on companies with 50 to around about 500 employees. That's where most of my clients fall into that bracket. And I work with about, I think at the moment it's 11 clients at a time. It has shot up to 15 clients at a time, but it's very unsustainable, I learned. So it's somewhere between like 7 and 10 at any given point in time. Right now, I'm booked at capacity.
Right. And you started your career as a musician, I believe. When did you actually pivot to the startup world?
Well, I did not start my career as a musician. It's just the thing that I've been doing for the longest. When I was 8 years old, I started to play guitar shortly after I started to write songs. And so if you want to count the 10,000 hours, the discipline that I've cracked it in was music, first. And then I did, after graduating high school, I asked a couple of career musicians, professional musicians, in my community for advice. And the one thing they said was like, no matter how good you are, uh, that will not be the reason for winning in the music business or not. It's all of the other things combined. And then I said, well, so if that is true, I would much rather learn something that I can then take as my vocation, and continue music as my passion or hobby. But fast forward 20 years, well, no, it's not 20 years since my high school graduation. But nowadays, 25 years or 30 years of playing guitar, um, it's it's clear that music has become much more than just a hobby. So I started out my career in venture, first in London and then in Berlin. I worked with different funds, most notably Redstone, and then Joyance VC, a Berlin-based and US-based VC, and invested in the early stages. So that is from pre-seed to Series A.
And music, what did it bring to you as a founder, as a coach, as a VC investor? Is it the creativity? Is it the focus, the hardship of it? Because you constantly need to practice. Also, did you play in a band? Did that teach you how to team play, sort of?
Very much so. So I think the metaphor of a musical ensemble, if you talk about an orchestra or a rock band, in similar fashions, are applicable to startup teams or teams in general. And when you think about the way a band interacts, sometimes in a very improvised setting, sometimes very much to cue and planned, you start to understand what it is that makes teams tick. That being said, it it has taken a while after I started my venture career that I started to actually work with professional musicians, right? I was always a hobbyist, but then after a number of years, I started to work with more professional musicians. And at that time, I realized there is there is much more intention and deliberation going into a good piece of music. Even if you feel like it's being performed live and improvised, there's a lot that has been planned. And that being said, if you bring that back to a team and what makes a team tick, there's a lot of intentionality that makes great teams great. And that's what I'm working on with my clients now, to build that kind of muscle that constitutes a high performance team.
And you've seen all these AI music softwares like Suno, for example. What do you think of
Yeah.
them? Because you mentioned that you still write manually, right? But you do that to grow brain cells to think better, right? So there's still advantages of doing that. So is that how we should see music? Just playing an instrument for having fun and also growing your brain, not for the end product, if AI is like 100x better?
Well, so I think there are two perspectives to look at it. One is the creative process, and one is just the purpose of creativity or the purpose of art for that sake. And I will include writing in that just for the sake of the argument. And for me, the purpose of art and creativity is to connect and to tell stories, right? And it matters for me if I listen to a song that I know that someone went through that story or came up with that story. It matters because I feel an emotional human connection, right? Um, that being said, if I step onto an elevator and some music is in the background and it's really just a soundscape, do I care whether someone, wrote that piece of music? I know the people who write those kind of piece of music. They, are they very emotional when they write it? Absolutely not. For them, it's a job. They write like 5 pieces like that in an hour. Well, it just got a little bit quicker using AI, so that's fine. But if I'm actually, emotionally resonating with a piece of art, I probably do that because some of the meaning that got into this piece of art in the process of creativity is resonating with myself. So that's one perspective, and the other perspective is there are many different kind of steps in the creative process. Even in writing a book, I'm very much using artificial intelligence. I'm not using it for the writing process, but for research, yeah, sure. Give me a quick overview of this topic and that topic. I still need to read all the papers myself because I can't guarantee that the technology actually did a good job in summarizing. But yes, I can help myself out.
But what if the future of music is just Charles feeding his data to this AI music producer with my exact tones, what kinds of beats I want, and if there's lyrics there about me and my life, right? So I think the future of music is very much AI centralized. I don't think there'll be much artists thriving, or I think with time they're gonna go down. I think people what they want is their own emotions, their own life experiences, and listen to these with some kind of beat that can make sense out of it and help them digest all these emotions personally. I think the person you can relate the most is you, not Drake making a song that you could somewhat relate to, right?
I'm actually not that sure about that. So if we think about a coaching session or a therapy session, it takes inspiration, not only your own data points, but it takes some kind of points of inspiration for you to gain perspective. So that would, for me, be a pointer to say it's not only your own data. That being said, the case that you're making, where you're feeding your own data into artificial intelligence production tools, sure, I think that will take off at some point. Um, w- will that mean that we won't visit live concerts anymore? Like, who's going to be on stage? Like, are we just, going to a club and everyone has their own AirPods in and they're listening to their own customized music? That's kind of sad, isn't it? Like, what's the point of connection
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, concerts, live concerts, sure, because we're like vibing together as a community, right, under one beat. And
together?
there's something like very powerful, something very tribal about this. By my own data, by the way, I meant like, let's say that I tweet about Musk, right? And nowadays it's pretty negative about Musk, but let's say it was positive, right? It would still get that data and have like, oh, launch rocket like Elon Musk in my song, for example.
Hmm.
So yeah, there would be some reference points as well, but I mean, what is surrounding my world? Like I think that would make more relevant music. We're just not there yet. Now, my question for you is for your founders or the CEOs that you coach, what kind of approach do you have with them? Do you have like some kind of system that you start with them, or is it custom from day one? And give me like clear examples of how you take them from 0 to 1.
Yeah. So first of all, I have a coaching framework. It's called Effective Entrepreneurship, and effective entrepreneurship basically consists of three pillars: clarity, leverage, and resilience. Within clarity, we work on all things connected to values, intention and goals, mission and vision, the principles we live by, but also the fundamental beliefs that may drive us without us consciously knowing. So that's clarity. That's pillar one. Then there's leverage. Leverage is about all the things that we can do to work smarter rather than harder, to achieve more output with the given set of inputs that we have. And the core drivers of leverage are people, code, capital, and content being brand and audience, and code subsumes all of the systems and processes that we come up with when we organize. Um, and then lastly, resilience, because it doesn't help if we're very clear about where we want to go and we are highly leveraged, but we can't get out of bed because we're burned out. Right. So those are the three pillars that I work on under effective entrepreneurship. That being said, I'm a certified coach with the International Coaching Federation. So the kind of the practice, if you want to say so, is systemic coaching, and I take great care to adhere to like proper uh, uh, proper practice as a coach. If my clients do ask me for my opinion, um, I will, of course, give them my opinion. They will just get a label that that's what it is. And I'm not trying to manipulate my clients in any shape or fashion because all of them, they're professionals, they're experts. They're running businesses that are bigger than any company I've ever run. Every single one of my clients. Um, So they're not coming to me because they think I know better, or I did it before. But they come to me because it seems like I'm good at combining perspectives and helping them inspire themselves.
And do they come for you mainly for someone that is business minded to listen to them to lower their stress, or like you said, for clarity? And by clarity, what are your methods that you use to obtain clarity? For example, I have a clarity GPT nowadays that helps me understand like what is my priority, what is my focus, right? When my mind is in all directions. So yeah, why do they come to you? And yeah, like what is your definition of clarity?
Yeah. So, um, most of my clients come to me because they're looking for someone who has the coaching tool set, but the necessary business context. And then, more specifically within business, they're looking for someone who knows what it looks like to build a high growth, often high tech business that also most likely is externally financed with venture money, for example. Um, and with regards to your second question, what's the definition of clarity? I think the definition of clarity is that at every at every kind of level of the time scale, you are very clear about where you're headed and why you're giving the answers that way, right? So on a 10-year time horizon, here is what I need to or want to achieve, and here are the reasons why. And I can give you the same for a 3-year time horizon and for a 1-year time horizon and for tomorrow, because at the same time, you want to inform your ultimate next step by how that aligns with all of the things that you have in your vision.
Right. You feel you could feed all your data to a GPT and give like a GPT Julius to your clients? And if so, do you think it could even outperform you in the future? And if not, what is the human magic? Like, what is superhuman skills that AGI may not compete with?
So when we look into the research on coaching and why coaching is driving results, actual results, we learned that about 50% of the effectivity of coaching is the relationship between the coach and the coachee. Um, so there is something about a human relationship that drives more accountability than us talking to a machine. And I just want to call out, I am very AI positive, and I use a lot of artificial intelligence, different models, and tools in my business. My clients, they're all tech entrepreneurs. They very well know how to use artificial intelligence. If they wanted to build their own coaching custom GPT, they could. They probably have, and they're still paying top dollar to work with me. So there must be something that's in it for them. But so yes, you can absolutely build a Julius GPT. It's I think it's questionable whether people would be interested to have that, and whether they would be interested in being held accountable by an entity that they very clearly know doesn't care.
And what's your definition of keeping someone accountable? Let's say that they keep on failing to achieve something. Do you just put more pressure on them? Like, what's your accountability tool set?
It's very simple. I follow up. I follow up about the things that we talk about. Um, and for someone who runs a business, you are a CEO. There are very few people who follow up with you on things because you're the boss, right? And most of the investors, I'm not sure if you've run venture funded businesses, but even the investors, they have many other businesses that they have to oversee. So they're not down in the details and everything that you need to do. Um, I probably am, at least on the stuff that matters to the CEO at the time. So I do check in. And I think there's a level of accountability in that relationship that helps drive change.
Talking about investments, you also run the fund, right? That smallish one, I would guess. Like, what determines your investment? Like, do you invest in your clients, and which one of them do you invest in? How do you determine the business and founder criteria?
I don't currently invest. It's if we think about the asset class venture or private capital, I derive all of my income from that asset class. And in terms of proper diversification of assets, I have to put my money somewhere else.
Okay, because I see Bachmann Capital there, so that's no longer active,
It is active and it holds a number of investments that I've made.
but not in
Um,
startups.
I have made startup investments, yes, but I'm not
Okay.
investing currently.
Okay, not investing anymore. What do your clients pay you normally? You said like that they pay you heftily. Is it hourly? Is it monthly? What kind of packages you have?
Yeah, my clients pay a recurring retainer fee on a monthly basis. That's not tied to any specific set of kind of hours. That being said, I want to work with my clients at least on a bi-weekly basis. Some of them are on a weekly basis at the moment. That being said, working with me starts somewhere at 4 to 5 thousand euros at in kind of the smallest package. But there are clients who pay me up to 15, 20K when there are more people involved, when we're working with the entirety of the team. And if I hop on a plane to go facilitate a strategy offsite or a team offsite somewhere, that will come on top.
How do you find your clients? Do you have a GTM strategy active or pure referral?
It's I'm thinking about the last people who reached out to me. It's almost pure referral through venture funds who know me, who trust me because they know that I have been in their shoes and I understand what it means to sit on a board. But I've also been a CFO. I've been a founder, so I have these different perspectives. Um, and um, there are a few people who reach out because they read my newsletter, have been reading my newsletter for a while, and then they reach out and say, "What you're writing about recently really hits home for me. This is something that I'd like to work on." People that I meet in workshops that I'm offering that resonate a lot with the things that I teach. But most often, these exact people have been at least aware of me and the work that I do for months or years prior. I mean, how else would they even, be present in a workshop, be in my newsletter, a subscriber list? At some point, they have to have made that decision.
Yeah, I like that. And what is preventing you from starting a new company, a new startup from scratch? Are you gonna keep on coaching for the rest of your career, or you gonna jump in the arena again?
I am going to keep coaching and working with people for the rest of my career. That being said, uh, that doesn't that doesn't prevent me from building products, and from those products, if they hit product market fit, to build businesses. And I'm doing that on an ongoing basis. There's a team assessment that I'm currently working on for team dynamics. There's there's an online course about personal leverage, specifically focused on how to work with assistants, founders, associates, chief of staffs, and the CEOs and the assistants. So those are examples of the products that I'm currently working on, and that I'm looking to turn into businesses for sure.
So, next logical product for you would be a podcast.
Um, well, I've thought about that quite a lot because I am I like audio. I talk with people quite a lot. I wonder whether the next podcast is something that's relevant to me or to anyone out there. Like, why would people want to listen to yet another podcast? And if that's the case, it has to be really good. And to be really good, it takes a lot of time and preparation.
Yeah, for sure. If you're a good writer, you're a good thinker. If you're a good thinker, you're a good podcaster. Is my reply to that. And there's a lot of musicians out there. There's a lot of newsletter writer, right? So I think to provide value to humanity nowadays, you need to be default exceptional. So yeah, I would certainly view you launching something around these lines. Last but not least, your family man as well. I believe your dad. How are you educating your kids, and are you having them try entrepreneur stuff? What's your integration uh, of entrepreneurship into your kids nowadays?
Hmm. That's a great question. I mean, one caveat, my kids are 3.5 and 1 years old. So there's not so much entrepreneurial education at this age just yet, outside of the lemonade stand, you know. Um, so at at this time, it's mostly musical stuff that I hope to share with them and to share the love for music and the love for movement and um, yeah, I think that's most of it.
Any
And
plans for entrepreneurship?
for my kids, that's a great question. So obviously the first step is to even have them understand what it is that I am doing, and help them, come up with tiny ways in which they can feel real agency as in controlling their own destiny, and understanding what they have in their control and what they have in their influence and what might just be stuff that is external, and build tiny little businesses within their scope of control. I think that's where I'd begin.
You think they'll have a shot in this AI age at the market with AI agents all over the place being 10,000 times better than them?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Um, I believe in humanity and and in the fact that there will be things that we do for each other, because some things are essentially human. Caring for each other, for example, is essentially human. And those are the pockets in which we will concentrate our activities in the future. And I will still say storytelling, creativity, and art um, can be part of that, even though there are great artificial intelligence tools that write songs. There are robots that are great at the technical elements of care, right? And still to feel cared for is something else. And I think that's where our children will spend their time.
That was Julius Bachmann and Charles Cormier